So you've been bullet journaling for a little while and it's going pretty well, but something's missing. You just want to take your layouts from where they are now to being super beautiful. What do you do? Today I'm going to share with you 3 graphic design principles that are going to help you level up your layouts and make them look the way they looked in your head before you put everything down on the page. Let's get to it. Hi, I'm Erin. I make bullet journal and stationery videos here on YouTube every week. And if this is your first time here, please feel free to hit subscribe. If you enjoy this video, give it a like. I also have channel memberships. Join my little family. While this video is about making your bullet journal more beautiful, I do want to mention that it's absolutely not necessary. There is no correct way to bullet journal. As long as it's helping you in your day-to-day life, then you're doing it great. Yes, there is the original way to bullet journal, which is Ryder Carroll's system, and if you aren't familiar with that, you maybe should familiarize yourself with it because there are a lot of wonderful processes that you might be able to adapt into your own journal. But all the stuff where you make your journal pretty, that's not part of the original system, right? Like Ryder Carroll wasn't putting washi tape and stickers in his journal, but some of us do, because some of us are much more likely to use the journal if it is an inviting space and a pretty environment to spend time in, and that is definitely me. If I didn't have the variety of a different theme every month, if I didn't have the creative outlet that is drawing in my bullet journal or putting together stickers or just trying to make something pretty, there's no way I'm gonna pick it up. That's part of the appeal for me of bullet journaling, so I just wanted to mention that. No, you don't have to make your journal beautiful. If you're not interested in that, you feel free to click away from this video now. It's not for you, that's fine. But if you clicked on this video, there's a good chance that maybe you do wanna make your journal more beautiful. So let's get into these 3 graphic design principles we're gonna touch on today. They are balance, color palette, and repetition. I'm going to be using examples from my own old bullet journal. This one's from 2019, so I'll show you a few of the pages in here. I'm gonna be comparing some of my older layouts to some of the newer stuff that I'm doing, not from a place of like, look how bad I used to be, just from a place of look how much I've learned and grown and improved. So 3 graphic design principles and a little peek into my past. Let's get to it. In my opinion, the most important element to keep in mind if you want to create a beautiful bullet journal spread is balance. Balance is the concept of the way all of the different elements on your page or in your design work together. You want to imagine that everything you place down on the page has its own weight. Funnily enough, that concept is called visual weight. So even if you have 2 elements on the page that are around about the same size, they may have very different visual weight based on the colors, based on the darkness versus brightness, based on how much space they take up. All of those things can contribute to their visual weight. In the case of this page, I don't have a lot of contrast going on in this particular theme, but this bird right here on the right page has more visual weight than anything else on the page because he's darker. Even though it's about the same size, this little bird sticker, as this tag up here, this square frame. This has a lot less visual weight because it is much lighter. It doesn't have as much detail. It's not as dark. This up here feels more comfortable in the top than this guy would have, because talking about weight makes you think of gravity, right? If you think of your pages having up and down, things with more visual weight feel more comfortable to our eye when they're in the lower part of a design because they feel heavier, and to us heavier things sink, right? They will drop to the bottom. So generally placing darker things lower on the page is going to help to give you balance. The same as having, see, I've got decoration in the top left corner and the top right corner of this spread. That's worked because they're balancing each other out. It's kind of the as above, so below kind of situation. The shape of the calendar for July naturally, because it started on a Saturday, had this kind of like wedge cut out at the top and then a wedge cut out at the bottom. So I've kind of tried to mirror that. And I remember as I was setting this up, I did this decoration and I did this decoration and it still didn't really feel linked to me. So I've just added the border to kind of join this design to this design, join this design to this design, and that really just brought everything together. If I had wanted to have more decoration on this side, I could have moved the calendar over this way. Vice versa, I've obviously got 4 days on the right side and only 3 on the left, so that gave me the opportunity to bring my decoration a little bit lower on this side. It doesn't come up quite as high over here. I'm really happy with this one, and I knew that I wanted to have a lot of negative space on the page. Negative space is any area where you don't have any decoration, which is this whole area around the calendar out here. Having a lot of negative space in your design really gives it a sleek kind of classic and elevated look. And I've played into that by choosing to have a pretty small calendar. This one is only 3 boxes tall by 4 boxes wide for each of the calendar spaces. So it's quite small. If you have a lot of things to write down, it may not be the most practical. You might just need a bigger box. But generally, a bigger calendar box taking up more space on the page is going to give you a more vibrant, kind of cute, modern maybe look. Then this is kind of quite sleek. And for an example of that, actually, I'm going to switch journals here. This is my April 2019 bullet journal. Just pop that at the top for a second. You can see for this one, I've gone for a much bigger calendar box, and they're all actually separate. So it's taking up a lot of page space here, this calendar. I was very much in my decoration is secondary to the bullet journaling process phase here, which I still believe, but I do really enjoy the decoration process, so I'm not going to stop doing it. Again, I've put Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the right page, so there is more calendar going on the right page, which means naturally you're going to have more space on the left. I don't remember if this goals and next month section on the side here was an afterthought. It certainly looks like it, because everything over here is in a box, but these aren't. So I think if I wanted to redo this and improve it today, I'd probably make the calendar boxes, these are 5 by 5 spaces, I'd probably make them 4 by 4, just make it a little touch smaller, the same width as on the July that we looked at just before. Just make them that touch smaller to give myself a bit more purposeful space if I wanted to have a goals and a next month section, and put them in their own boxes as well so that it feels like part of the same layout. At the moment, they're just floating, they're untethered. My goals are feeling very ephemeral because apparently I didn't put them in a box, and that's what I need to do to make them achievable. I haven't ticked any of them off, so apparently I don't remember if I did them or not. This is going back a fair way. My theme here was an autumn-April layout because April is in autumn here in Australia. Sorry if that feels weird to you, Northern Hemisphere friends. And I like the color scheme that I've chosen, and I do like the decoration as well. I think, funnily enough, by matching it to kind of what I've done in July, I think I could have improved it. So at the moment I have leaves on the top right corner, kind of spilling a little bit onto the left page, and I have a big bold April header down the bottom, and it feels a bit off. There's a little bit less space at the bottom here of this calendar. I've only got 2 spaces here, and I've got quite a few above. I don't mind that because all of this is empty down here, so it kind of does balance out how much space is at the top versus the bottom. I think what could have made it better is honestly the same thing I did in July, to have the leaves on this side decorating a bit up here, and then the opposite on the other page at the bottom on the right, and that would have just given it a little bit more cohesion, a bit more balance, which balances the goal. But I still think this is cute. I'm not mad at past me. I think this is really cute. Maybe it's time to do another kind of autumn theme like this. Funnily enough, 5 by 5 boxes is what I currently do for my content planner spread. So let me just switch to that one for you very quickly. This is almost the same layout, but updated for how I would approach it in 2023. So these are still 5 by 5 boxes for my content planner. I have a gap in between each one. It does, of course, help quite a bit that this particular month, July 2023, started on a Saturday and ended on a Monday. So naturally this calendar was going to have more space here and more space here. So again, I've just kind of clung to that. Again, I've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the right page. It's taking up most of the page, so I've kept the decoration here minimal so that it's not fighting with this. On the other side, where we've had a little bit more space down the side here, obviously I haven't opted to make this into a list this time, but I have added some decoration there. I've overlapped it a little with some of the design in some areas where I knew I wasn't going to sacrifice the functionality of the design by having them kind of interact and touch each other. There's still quite a lot going on here, but it feels balanced because we have the top and bottom having similar visual weight, potentially in this case maybe even a little bit more here, but it works because the calendar is kind of right oriented on the page. And I must have thought that this would just look too empty because I've added a stamp here so that there's not too much going on, but there's something to keep this theme feeling cohesive and balanced. The next most important thing, I believe, is having a color palette. For me, having a color palette really stands in for having a theme quite often. So if you've seen my most recent, you'll know that it's kind of a fantasy inspired. I haven't used a lot of these pages yet, but it's a sort of a fantasy inspired theme based around these stickers from London Gifties. I've pulled colors from those stickers in order to create the rest of this theme. So the deep blues that are in a lot of these, there's also some beautiful greens going on here. I've really latched onto the blue. I was planning to do the green, but it just kind of ended up this way. So if you were in Photoshop and you used the little color picker tool to pull out some of the colors in these, you're going to end up with something along the lines of the blue that I've used for the August header here. This is a sticker that I made. For the blue that's in the calendar here, the ink that I've used to stamp the letters on for quite a few of the headings in this design, that really brings it all together. There's a little bit of warmth occasionally in these stickers as well. There's kind of some greens in here that are a little bit on the warmer side, some pinks and that kind of thing. I haven't leaned into the pinks at all, but I do feel like a little bit of that green, a little bit of that warmth comes through in the text paper that I've used to line most of the pages as a kind of subtle, it's funny because it's a busy piece of paper. It's quite detailed, but because the text is so small, it kind of acts just like a pattern more than as text. Your eye isn't drawn to it and saying, I need to read this, I need to work out what this means. Your eye just understands that it's a design element and that it's not there to function in any way other than to look pretty. Color schemes are something that I think I've always done okay at. Let me try and find you. Okay, this is probably a good example. So this is October 2019. And I've got this origami paper that's very cute. It has quite a few colors going on. And for some reason, I've chosen purple to add to my calendar here and a light blue. This is probably more to do with me not having a great deal of stationery in 2019, especially compared to the stationery that I have now. There is kind of a blue going on in some of these leaves, but it's not the same blue as this. It's not even really close. There's no purple. There's pink, there's red, there's orange, there's yellow, there's green. There's no purple. So choosing purple here was an interesting choice. And then I've just completely abandoned that paper except for a few little bits at the top here. God knows why I have chosen that. And this different washi tape, there's nothing wrong with using a washi tape and a scrapbooking paper together in the same theme, but they don't really have any bearing on each other. There's a bit of pink. This one has navy blue and gold and pink, and I think it has yellowed a little bit over time, so that's probably not helping, but it doesn't make sense with this. So these two patterns, also patterns with patterns, is risky. It can be done, but it's risky. So if you're okay with a bit of a clash, like, I mean, there are no rules, right? You do you, but if I'd just been able to go with colors that were a better match here with the paper that I chose, this theme would have felt a lot more cohesive and a lot more balanced. Look how much I'm featuring it. There is so much of this blue. There's a decent amount of the purple going on here too. They're not working together. Let's quickly jump into my first journal for the year. This is March 2023. This is probably a good example of still having quite a few colors going on, but only pulling a few of them out to use consistently to keep the theme really. Actually, I've really only used one color besides this PET tape that I used for March because it is already so bold. It is already so much visual weight, right? Because there's bright colors, there's blacks in there, there's detail, it's also shiny. In order to not compete with that, I wanted this to be a very simple color scheme as far as everything else that happens on the page. And also when we're going back to balance, this is very bold, this is very bold. I did nothing for everything else because I didn't want to be competing. It could be nice to have a little border around the page and just leave it at that, but didn't even need that as far as I was concerned. I've gone for grey for the calendar boxes this time because I didn't want them to be too bold. Again, because they'd be competing. I've given a black backdrop to this quite often, to the PET tape, which obviously has so much going on. I just wanted to give it something to separate it from the rest of the page, if that makes sense. And all of my other lettering, I've kept it very simple with letter stamps, and I've used a green marker, the same one that I used over here for the lettering on the cover, just to stamp those on. And I've kept that really consistent throughout the theme. It's the same lettering, it's the same size, because obviously I can't change the size of stamps, but I wouldn't even if I could. And just trying to add in this little bit of decorative element. For a page like the mood tracker, where it was going to be very busy at the end anyway, and it already had honestly so much visual weight, I've just added a tiny little bit of the PET tape at the top because I didn't want to not include it. I didn't want to have it not make sense with the rest of the theme, but there wasn't enough space to do anything bold there, so just a little bit. This one I think doesn't go so well. The content planner I feel is lacking with regards to the rest of the theme because it really doesn't have that bold black element. If I had maybe gone a little bit less hard over here, maybe wrapped the black under the calendar here, or even added something else along the bottom, this page I feel doesn't fit the theme. A large part of that is probably the colors that I've used. If the way I use my content planner is unfamiliar to you, I have a video about that. I'll pop a link in the top corner here and in the description down below. But I was using friction pens at the time to add the colors that coordinate to each of the Instagram and YouTube and blog accounts that I was needing to update at the time. And it was working. I was using the same ones month to month, but I didn't like that they didn't look good with the theme. I've actually just done my content planner for August, and you can see I'm tying things in now. I'm using the same colors from the theme. It was the same for July. I was using the same colors that I was using throughout the theme. And that even though they change month to month now, I just think it's a much nicer page to look at, and therefore I'm more likely to use it. So that's always a good thing. And I've tried to stick with it, that kind of simple theme with a little bit of decoration, keeping things very bold and clean throughout the weeklies as well. But that content planner, I am simply not obsessed with it. Isn't that funny? Because at the time, I'm sure I didn't even think anything of it. You live and learn. As far as choosing the colors for a color scheme, anything goes really. There are no rules around which colors, I mean, there are rules around which colors look good with others, but I think we live in a time where we can do whatever we want and it's fine. I feel like this layout is almost reactionary to that boldness of March, that I've gone with something very soft for April. Honestly, the way I like to do it quite often is that I'll start with one piece of stationery. So in this case, it was this paper that I got from a vintage market for May. I will pick a couple of colors that kind of go with that. So I've gone with gold, greens, there's a touch of blue in some parts of this that I've kind of allowed to come out, but it was mostly the yellows and the greens. And then you just stick with that for your whole layout as much as you can, and everything works out just fine. So quite often it's one piece of stationery that inspires the entire theme. The third element that I want to mention that is also very important is repetition. So having something appear repeatedly throughout a design element kind of makes rhythm in the page. It's a level of consistency from repeating the same frame on this side as that side, using the same lettering. We've got fairies that are obviously from the same set. We're repeating the same paper top and bottom. We're repeating the shiny flowers here. We're repeating butterflies. There's a lot of repetition actually going on in May here. Repeating the same thing left and right. We're using the same lettering as on the previous page. Whoops, too far. This one, again with the butterflies, again with the fairies, again with the butterflies, again with the fairies. This appears here and here and here. Creating that rhythm and repetition can really strengthen your design. That repetition makes kind of a calm space in your brain where it says, yes, these things make sense together because we're doing it several times, therefore it must be correct. So if you're hand lettering all the way through your design and then you get to the third page and you think, I might stamp this one, put the stamps down, go back to your hand lettering. If you get halfway through your design and you think, maybe I should use this completely different sticker, I actually think I've done this a little bit here in the May setup. So I used this yellow paper, very much inspired by Anna from Journal Away here, where she will sometimes completely change the color of a page. I was like, I want to do that too. So I've used this yellow paper, whereas almost everything else really focused on the floral paper, which I had heaps of. I don't know why I was trying to conserve it, but at some point here I've started going, oh, I should use more of the yellow. I need to bring in more of the yellow. And then I went too hard on the yellow on this first weekly. And I feel like it's lost the green of the previous parts of the theme that I prefer. I think these look better than this. So that's an example of where it would have been better for me to come back to this, to include that, maybe not even in every decorative square here, but at least 2 or 3 of them, you know, to keep that consistency, to keep that repetition. It's also going to create more balance throughout the theme. As you turn the pages, you're going to feel more like everything works together. So all of these concepts really mesh together. They all go hand in hand. Balance, color palette, repetition. If you use all of those 3 things together in your journal, you're going to come away with something that feels beautiful, that you'll be excited to use. And if you're excited to use your journal, it's going to serve you so much more than if it feels like a chore. So in summary, we've got balance. Where you position things on the page, the size of things, how visually heavy they feel, the concept of visual weight, negative space, all of that good stuff, creating a balanced layout. Color palette, choose your colors and stick to them. It's okay if they clash, you can be creative, that is totally fine. Also, a color palette absolutely counts as a theme. as far as I'm concerned. And repetition, using the same style of lettering for all of your headings, using the same pen for the same purpose. Say you use a gray marker for all of your lines in a layout instead of your usual black, that's repetition. Using the same washi on every page, using the same colored tombow as your highlight, using the same of something on every page, creates the theme, creates repetition, makes your brain go, ah, these things look nice together. And when you combine that with your color palette and you combine it with the balanced layout, now you have a beautiful bullet journal. Look at you go, you did it, you can do it. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the stuff in this video or anything else to do with how I like to bullet journal. I did want to mention every month I do a live stream with my Hand-Lettered Heroes channel members where they help me pick in a poll the piece of ephemera, sticker, or washi tape, or whatever it is that is going to be the basis of my next theme, and then we jump on live, mood board it out to work out which stationery I'm going to use with it, which gives you a really good insight into how I choose a color palette and a theme, and then we pencil out everything for the next bullet journal setup, so they kind of get to see a big peek into the process. It's like peer behind the curtain, how the bullet journal sausage gets made. So if that sounds interesting to you, by all means, check out my channel memberships. There's a join link in the description down below if you'd like to come and join us for the next one. We've already had our channel members live stream to plan everything out for my September layout. So the next one will be for October, and that's gonna be really fun because of Halloween. Oh my God, it's gonna be the best. Just wanted to remind you, if you're new, that you can hit subscribe if you want to see more stuff from me. My name is Erin, in case you missed that earlier. It is all over my channel, I'm sure you know already. I'm on Instagram if you want to follow me over there as well. And if you aren't new here, I love you. Thank you for coming back. It means the world to me that you want to spend this time with me. I'm gonna head off, but thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope you have a fantastic week. Until next week, there'll be another video. It's gonna be my September plan with me. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be colorful. It's gonna be like flowers. She's going back to her roots. Couldn't help myself. Okay, bye.